Hi, I'm Darian Rose.
And I'm Renae Meyer.
We're seniors on the Fort Loramie basketball team.
And Fish Report Live starts now.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio, it's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. It is Wednesday night, December 11th. I'm Craig Fissinger. There's Ken Francis. Our old buddies TK and Heavy D are back in the sound room again tonight. And, Ken, you were missing the show here a couple weeks ago. Heavy D was missing the show here last week, and I want to go back to the sound room. Heavy D, I know you were south of the border last week. You weren't doing any funny business down in Mexico, were you?
No, they don't talk basketball, baseball, track in Mexico. They talk football. We call it soccer, and I was at a couple cantinas while I was down there, and the place just going wild. They're in the finals of the Mexican Premier League. It's the top division of professional football in Mexico. And we got the Leon Tigers going against the American team from Mexico City, and it's going to be a good match down there, and they really get into their soccer.
Well, those are probably the two teams I would have picked to be in the finals, that's for sure. TK, I know we missed you last week as well. Didn't get a chance to talk to you last week. I hope you didn't have any kind of major news to report, did you?
No, nothing too big back here from last week. Just trying to stay on top of everything and not cutting anybody off.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got the whole crew back tonight. And Ken, last week we were talking some hoops, and we were also talking some football. Don't have any more football to talk about, do we?
Nope. Football season completed last week, Craig, with the state championships. And MAC was, again, very well represented, Craig. The Marion Local Flyers, the Coldwater Cavaliers, both brought home state championships in football, Craig. Impressive seasons for both teams. So congratulations to those communities, the coaching staff, the players, the students, and, on just another fantastic season and a couple more state championships in football.
You know, we had Troy Homan from the Marion Local Flyers on this show, and you told Troy if you talk to us on this show, it's pretty much a guarantee you're going to win the state championship. And sure enough, they did. We had Nan Steckschulte from the coach from the Minster Wildcats on the phone. She won a big game against New Knoxville, and we also had John Willoughby from Houston who won a big game against Anna. So what's that tell you?
Absolutely, Craig. There's no reason not to be on Fish Report Live because I tell you what, we bring you good luck and get a lot of victories for you.
All right, well, we're going to talk all hoops tonight. Got some big interviews coming up, don't we?
Yes, we do. We've got a great interview with St. Henry junior star basketball player Ryan Mikesell, and he's off to another great start this season. And talking to a couple of the senior girls from Fort Loramie, Darian Rose, Renae, Meyer, Craig. They've had fantastic careers. They've won state championship, and they're just off to another great start this season.
Yeah, we'll get to all that here in just a bit. But just like we do every week, I got that weekly trivia question coming up. Last week you asked me a MAC football question. You stumped me. What do you got for me tonight?
Well, Craig, we're talking some Fort Loramie girls basketball tonight, Craig. So I thought it would be fitting. Who is the current all-time leading scorer for the Fort Loramie Redskins in girls baskall?
Oh, good question.
All right, now I'm going to give you a hint. It's not Darian Rose, okay? But she's getting awful close. Yeah. We're just starting her senior season. So who's the Fort Loramie girls' all-time leading scorer in girls basketball? Is it Janelle Oberding, Claire Ruenkamp, Sarah Deloy, or Carla Siegel, the current head coach of the Fort Loramie Redskins?
Oh, those are four good choices there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to look for a little help on Twitter on that one. I'm going to send that out on Twitter, and hopefully by the end of the show I can get some answers.
Well, you know, Craig, last week you got a lot of help from Twitter, but you didn't listen to them.
I know. I'm going to listen to my my Twitter followers tonight. If you guys give me the right answer, hopefully I'm going to whatever my Twitter followers say, that's what I'm giving you for an answer tonight. All right. Well, let's get things started. We're going to talk a little boys MAC basketball to start things out. Haven't talked about that yet this season. And one thing about the MAC, Ken, you can always be sure that the MAC season, there's a few teams that are going to start late, aren't they?
Absolutely, Craig. This year is no exception. The Delphos St. John's, Blue Jays, the Coldwater Cavaliers, the Marion Local Flyers, all getting a late start because of football seasons. And but, you know, it's going to be a great year again in the MAC from top to bottom, you know, just similar to the Shelby County League, very competitive. The teams play very, very hard. And, you know, it's tough to win those leagues. And this year will be no different.
Yeah, there's not really a lot to look at right now as far as league games. I think the only league game that's been played is maybe Versailles and New Bremen, just one league game. But so not much to look at there. But let's just take a quick look at last year's standings just to see how things finished up.
Well, Craig, last year you had St. Henry and Delphos St. John's tied for the league championship on 8-1. And, you know, just a lot of good teams, a lot of parity. You see down there just a game over 500 last year were the Versailles Tigers. Craig, ultimately they ended up the Division III state runner-up. So shows you the toughness of the league, and this year will be no different.
Yeah. Well, the team that finished at the top of the league last year, St. Henry, was one of those teams, and I expect them to compete again this year, Ken. And we're happy to have right now one of the stars of that team, Ryan Mikesell, live on the phone. Ryan, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, listen, congrats to a good start to the season. Right now, you guys are 2-1. Had kind of a tough loss on opening night, a buzzer beater by St. Henry. But since then, you beat Russia, you beat St. Mary's. And I want to ask you, you know, last year you had an All-Ohio player on your team by the name of Kyle Stahl, who has since graduated. This season, coming into this season, did you feel a little pressure on yourself maybe to pick up where Kyle left off, maybe score some of those points that he scored last year?
Yeah, I think a little bit, but not only there's pressure on you to do other stuff, you know, rebound, take care of the ball, you know, just dish out, you know, whatever it really takes to win.
All right, well, listen, I want to talk about that Russia game for just a second. Now, you know, Ken and I, we're a couple Russia guys here. I got to ask you, Ryan, was there any kind of smack talk maybe between you and a couple of your buddies over there on the Russia team? Any texts before or after the game?
I wouldn't say really any smack talking during the game. But that last shot at the end, I looked at Nolan, and I was just real in shock because that was halfway down and came out. But I mean, we talked before the game a little bit, but other than that, really nothing.
Ryan, hi, this is Ken Francis. Let's talk a little bit about your game coming up this Friday night. You travel to Minster. Minster and you've both played similar teams. You both played Spencerville. You both played Russia. What kind of game are you expecting to get from the Wildcats Friday night?
Well, we just recently watched a film over them, and from what I really noticed is they play extremely hard. They kind of like what Russia does. They attack the offensive glass real hard. They have some shooters out there. You know, you always gotta find them. So I'm just a real hard-fought game, I think.
Ryan, this summer you played a lot of competitive basketball, traveled a lot, and you know, you played with some other local players from this area. Tell us some of the other kids you played with over the summer and how your summer program went.
Yeah, I played some with Kyle Lawrence. We never actually got to play his team, but we played at that type of level at AAU. Ryan Hoying up in Salina, he was on my team. Grant Zawatsky from Troy Christian, he was on my team. Luke Kanapke, I played against him a couple times. We're trying to actually get him on our team. So, I mean, it was a great experience and some really good competition.
We know, Ryan, you're a junior right now. A lot of the colleges are starting to talk and look at the junior class right now. Can you give us any indication on where Ryan Mikesell stands right now and any colleges that might be interested in you?
A lot of the mid-majors have been texting me and calling me or whatever, asking me to do their games. Some MAC schools like Toledo University, Wright State, Ohio, Miami University, and then Dayton University, and Pennsylvania University just recently called me the other day. So just a lot of the mid-majors.
All right. Well, listen, hey, Ryan, one more question we got to ask you here, and then we'll let you go. Now, we know your coach over there pretty well. Coach Rosenbeck, actually, he's a Russia guy. I don't know if people know that, but he played for the Raiders once upon a time. Ken and I know him pretty well. He was the Ohio's Division IV co-coach of the year last year, but I don't know if he talks much to you, Ryan, about his playing days, but I'd be curious if he ever challenged you to like maybe a three-point shooting contest or anything like that. I think you could take him. Has he ever challenged you like that before?
Not to a 3-point competition, but in open gyms and stuff, we usually play against each other. It's real enjoyable because he likes to talk a lot of smack, and I talk back. So it's fun. He honestly he can still play a little bit. He can stroke it, that's for sure. All
right. Well, you're on his good side, I guess, for saying that. But I saw him play back in the day, and I've seen you play. I think I'll give you the edge over him.
Well, listen, Ryan, we appreciate you taking part of your Wednesday night to join us on the show tonight. And, good luck to you the rest of the season. Good luck to the Redskins, and especially good luck in your future when it comes to making college choices.
Yep. Thank you. No problem. And thanks for having me.
All right, Ryan. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
All right, that was St. Henry Jr. Ryan Mikesell, Ken, and he certainly, we got to watch him there just a couple weeks ago, and he's going to be a good one. He's already a good one.
Yes, he is, Craig. And you know what? I want to say another thing about Ryan. Not only is he a good basketball player, he's a great kid. Like he said, he's a friend of my son, and they talk a lot. And Nolan played with him a little bit over the summer, and just a really, really nice kid.
All right. Well, speaking of that St. Henry Minster game coming up on Friday night, our partners over at NK Telco will actually be rebroadcasting that game after it's over at 11 o'clock on NK Telco Channel 3 and Channel 503, again, Friday night at 11 o'clock, and then they'll be rebroadcasting it on Saturday at noon. And then speaking of NK Telco broadcast, if there are any Loramie or Russia fans out there, which I know there are, they have a big game coming up at Loramie next Tuesday. NK Telco will be rebroadcasting that game on Wednesday at 6 p.m. and then again on Thursday at 6:30. So if you happen to miss that game or you just want to see a good basketball game, which I'm sure it'll be, you can watch the rebroadcast. And speaking of SCL boys basketball, Ken, we talked about it last week. I don't want to go into a lot of depth on it tonight, but we'll just kind of hit the highlights of what happened here last week. Let's bring up the standings, and a lot of good games last Friday night. Let's see how the standings are shaking out right now.
Well, like you said, Craig, it's still very early in the season. Houston right now sitting at 2-0, but they did have a very big win last Friday night when they went to Anna. Walked away with an overtime victory. Fort Loramie at 1-0, Jackson Center, Russia, Anna all at 1-1, and Botkins Fairlawn still looking for their first league wins. But, I see a lot of parity again in the league, Craig. A big game Friday night, Fort Loramie and Houston, as well as Anna and Russia. So, you can't take an easy night off in the Shelby County League and, expect a battle from everybody.
Yeah, I agree with you on the parity thing. I mean, you had a young Jackson Center team, gave Russia all they could handle, and you had that 2 overtime games, Fairlawn, Fort Loramie. Didn't expect that one to go overtime, and that did. And the House and Anna game, another overtime game. Anna played the following night, got beat by New Knoxville. So a lot of parity in the SCL and in the area, and I just expect it to go down to probably the last week or two.
I think it will too, and it's interesting. You watch these scores, and you're like, okay, how this team beat somebody by 10 points, but they lost to this team, and then they flipped the following week, and it's just hard to figure out sometimes, Craig, and it's been that way the last several years because, like you said, of the parity that's in the league, and the MAC is very similar. So just a lot of good basketball being played.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our boys basketball talk. But speaking of the MAC and the SCL, Ken, last Saturday, we were treated to some SCL cheerleaders of Russia performing with some MAC cheerleaders from Minster. They gave a halftime performance at the varsity game. So we're going to take a short break and show you a little video from that performance, and we'll be right back.
My baby finally gave up on me. I can't say that I'll blame her. She just got tired of playing a losing game. I should suck on my pride and beg that girl to come back home. Deep down I know she's better off, 'cause fools like me are meant to die alone. Someone give me one good reason, one good reason to smile. I'm trying to be that guy my mother prayed that I would be. Some days I feel like hitting the mark, some days I fail hopelessly. I think I'm alright, I just stumble from time to time. Oh, my mother knows I'm trying to be that guy.
All right, welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live, and hopefully you enjoyed that SCL MAC cheerleading performance there. I sure did, Ken. How about you?
Yeah, they did a nice job together, Craig. They went to cheering camp together over the summer and did their routine for the Russia Minster fans Saturday night, and did a great job.
All right, well, you know, before the break, I said we were done talking about boys basketball, but I do have one thing I want to bring up. Last night I was on Twitter, and I saw that this, I don't know much about him, but this Luke Kennard from Franklin, I saw where he scored like 51 points. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's a great player, Craig. Just a junior, believe it or not, had 51 the other night, and he's actually an AAU teammate of Versailles star Kyle Arns. He's being recruited by top-level teams all over the country, Craig. Duke, Kentucky, Louisville. Everybody wants Luke Kennard, and he's a 6'6" shooting guard and can jump out of the gym. Extremely talented athlete. He's also the quarterback of the football team, which I heard there's a lot of big Division I colleges wanting him to play quarterback for him as well. So great athlete down there in Franklin, and he'll be fun to watch over the next year and a half here locally.
And he's just a junior.
Yes, he is.
All right. Well, we might have to get him on this show then.
Absolutely, we can do that.
All right. Well, listen, let's talk some SCL girls basketball now, Ken. We actually skipped that topic last week, but something happened last week in the SCL that hasn't happened in almost 4 years, didn't it?
Yeah, big win for Coach Hatcher and his Russia Raiders. They knocked off the Anna Rockets. Anna had come into the game, Craig, with a 40-game winning streak in league play. And Russia Raiders, it was a great game at Claire C. Nouveau Gymnasium, and they walked down there with a 2-point victory. So congratulations to the Raiders and Coach Hatcher on a big win. And the Anna Rockets, they're kind of in a rebuilding year, Craig. but still, when you can knock off the defending Division III state champions, you know it's a big win.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think Loramie was the last team to beat them back in 2010, and Russia actually hadn't beat them since 2009. So a few streaks got broken there, and you're right. I think Anna might be rebuilding a little bit. I know they played Lima Bath last night, which is a very good team. Lost a close one to them, but I still wouldn't count Anna out.
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, listen. Let's see how the standings are right now. Like I said, we skipped this last week, but let's check out the girls' standings. And why don't you run over those for our viewers, Ken?
Well, we've got Russia sitting atop the league standings right now. Craig at 3-0, Fort Loramie at 2-0, and Anna at 2-1. Those are going to be the top three teams in the league. I'm pretty sure all year. Big game tomorrow night. Russia traveling to Fort Loramie to both teams putting their perfect records on the line there, and we'll see what happens there. Fort Loramie's got they're defending Division IV defending state champs, but the Russia's playing very well this year, Craig, and they've got a lot of talent there, and I think it's going to be a good game.
All right, and speaking of which, we got a chance last night to get over to Fort Loramie Gymnasium and talk to a couple of their stars, Darian Rose and Renae Meyer, about that game and about this season, and let's check out what they had to say. Fish Report live here at Fort Loramie High School with Fort Loramie senior Darian Rose. And Darian, the Redskins are off to a nice start. You got a couple league wins already, a few non-league wins, including a big win last Saturday against Miami East, a team that actually beat you last year. Now, Miami East had roughly the same team back as the year before. What made the difference this year for the Redskins?
Well, I think we went in last year a little blindsided, and we weren't really ready for them to be so physical. So the week before we played them, we worked on pushing each other and being physical and running the ball up and down the floor so they couldn't keep up with us.
All right, now one stat of yours that's really stood out to me this year so far is your three-point shooting. You've got like 14 three-pointers, I think, in 5 games, and if I read it right, I think all of last year during the regular season you had 17 three-pointers. So is it a good guess to say you worked on your long-range shooting over the summer?
Yeah, I put a lot of time in, and I worked on my consistency a lot. And over the past 3 seasons, my coach has been on me about shooting more from the outside, so I think I'm finally learning to listen to her maybe once in a while.
All right, well, you're obviously a leader out on the floor by just the way you play. What about the locker room, though, and in practice? Do you ever have to get on these girls to get fired up at all?
I think they're all pretty self-motivated, but whenever I do lead, I lead by example. And whenever they see me hustling and working hard, then they follow and they hustle and work hard in all the drills too.
All right, now you got a big league game coming up this Thursday hosting Russia, and a team that seems like they've improved their guard play a little bit, maybe picked up the tempo a little bit. What's it take to stop a team that likes to get up and down the floor?
Well, this week we worked on our ball pressure and being up the line on defense, and so we hope to rattle them a little bit with their guards and then hopefully force them to slow it down and set up the ball.
We're here now with Redskins senior Renae Meyer. And Renae, after all the success you guys had last year and winning the state tournament, what's it take to stay just as hungry for that success again this year?
Wanting to make everyone proud of us again. Winning it last year felt amazing. I still feel the feeling every time you go on the floor, you just get that excitement. And I know we all want that again. We all want the cheering and to go to the shot and just to play hard. And I think we can get it again.
All right, now you lost 3 seniors from last year, and one of those was starter Paige Ordine, who played underneath the basket with you. Did your role at all change this year now that Paige is no longer around?
A little bit, yeah, because we came up together, and so we were both kind of at the same level, and now there was no other posts that I guess knew what was going on or how to work. So we have to work with Kelly Turner and Julie Hoying and just to get them up tempo and how the game's played at the varsity level.
All right, and you've got the game coming up Thursday night against Russia, and I know if you're playing underneath the basket, that means you're going to be tangling with Russia junior Kylie Wilson. What kind of concerns do you have there?
She's big and she's physical. She likes to push us around, but I think playing Miami East really got us in shape for that because they were physical too, and I know what it takes playing her the past couple years to hopefully get her to not score. But yeah, she'll be a challenge, but we can handle her.
All right, one final question. Now, the Russia student section, they've been known to have some awfully loud boys this year. How about the Loramie student section? Will they have any loud boys Thursday night?
Yeah, I hope so. It's a big game, and I'm hoping both sides are packed and they're both cheering because both teams play better when that happens.
All right, Ken, and that was Fort Loramie seniors Darian Rose and Renae Meyer, 2 girls that have already had outstanding careers and their senior years just getting started.
Absolutely. Phenomenal careers, Craig. They've won district championships. They've won regional championships. They've won a state championship. You look at Darian Rose, Craig, she holds several Fort Loramie scoring records already. She's a member of the team that holds a lot of the team records. She's got the record for most points in one season. She's got all the free throw records on Fort Loramie, most consecutive made, most free throws in a game and a career in a season, and just an outstanding career that she's had already, Craig, in just a little over 3 years. And but what's interesting, Craig, when you look at all their accomplishments, one thing they have not done yet is win a Shelby County League title.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And I suppose that's because Anna's won?
Because Anna's won the last three. So, I'm sure that is very high on their list of objectives, and the Russia Raiders are coming down tomorrow night to see what they can do about that.
That is an amazing stat. Like you said, all the records she has, and a state championship, but not a Shelby.
Never a Shelby County League title.
Wow. All right, well, listen, I want to go back to the sound room. I know those guys are on top of girls basketball, and guys, we asked the Loramie girls what it was going to take to beat Russia. I want to ask you guys, what's it going to take for the Russia Raiders to take down the Loramie Redskins?
Yeah, big win last week against the Anna Rockets, again snapping their 40-game win streak. It took 8 free throws down the stretch for the Raiders to make that happen. They had an off night last night at Marion Local, went to the hangar, and a lot of costly turnovers. They had some strong athletes underneath for the Flyers, and it controlled the inside game, got beat on the press. So it's going to come down to fundamentals, controlling the tempo, cutting down the turnovers. What do you think, TK?
You got to agree with you, and they got to come out strong and fast. You can't get down to Loramie. They've proved that over the years, and that kind of happened last night at Marion. We got down early, and it makes it a lot harder when you got to battle back from a 7-8 point deficit early in the first quarter. So, got to come out strong and be confident, and take away from that Anna victory and some of those key free throws and other aspects of that game, and see what they can do to Loramie.
All right, guys. One more question for you, though. Speaking of those Russia boys, I've heard they're awfully loud. You've been to a few games. How those boys do? Can they influence the game at all?
Yeah, they get last couple of years again at the Loramie games. Really had a good support from the Russia student body and the guys. I think so. I get the girls motivated.
I enjoy watching them. I enjoy watching those guys. The last game I was at, the Anna game, they were actually singing Christmas songs.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they chimed in with a couple of nice Christmas songs, and I think that helped get the girls motivated as well. And it's always nice to have a good crowd behind you.
Yep.
Well, maybe they can have a sing-off for the Loramie boys on Thursday night.
Maybe something around.
They'll probably all be sitting in the same section together. The thing is, Craig, all these kids in these towns now with social media, I think everybody's friends anymore. Yeah. So I think the competitive spirit is still there, but when it comes before the game and after the game, they're all friends.
All right. Well, speaking of those Loramie girls, Kevin, we got just one more thing to do tonight. You asked me a trivia question at the beginning of the night, and it was about some Loramie girls. Why don't you ask
it again? Yes, it was. Tonight's trivia question, Craig, was Fort Loramie girls basketball. Who is the Fort Loramie girls basketball career all-time leading scorer? Is it Janelle Oberding, Claire Ruenkamp, Sarah Deloy, or current head coach Carla Siegel?
Well, you know what? If it was up to me, I was going to pick Coach Carla Siegel. I know her pretty well. I know she was a heck of a ball player back then, but I never listened to my Twitter followers. And tonight I got L.A. Gruey telling me that Craig, Sarah Deloy with 1,356 career points. So I'm not going to ignore my Twitter followers. I'm going with Sarah Deloy, and I'm even going to tell you it was 1,356 career points. Tell me I'm wrong.
You are right.
All right.
You're right. That's you had great help from your Twitter followers there tonight, Craig. Sarah Deloy graduated in 1993. Like you said, 1,356 career points. Craig, I was looking at their all-time scoring leaders over there. Janelle Oberding is second. I think Claire Ruenkamp is third. Carla Siegel actually is, I think, 11th. But just some phenomenal players over there. Mallory Albers, Courtney Reed. I can't even remember all of them. But
you gave me all kinds of choices.
I could have gave you so many choices, but you are correct. Sarah Deloy, and I say it, she is currently, because like we said before, it's not going to be long. They're going to have probably a new all-time career leading scorer over there. So good luck to the Redskins, and it was fun talking to those girls tonight.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Ken, do want to say special thanks to Ryan Mikesell, Darian Rose, and Renae Meyer for being on our program tonight. Ken and I and the crew, we're going to be back again next week, same time, same place. Until then, though, everyone have a great rest of the week, and good night.